my dad's 8mm film footage started pitching up in my life in a really strong way. Like the next thing I knew, it was in a box in my cupboard. I was looking through it, and then I was like, let me see what's on it. And then I was getting it transferred. And then the next thing I knew, I was watching my grandfather help me take my first steps. These slides have always been around. They've just been there. Just haven't looked at them. And I think it's kind of like it's interesting that I did this ancestor work first, right? And then a couple of months later, I'm looking at the slides. So in terms of the timing, it's just really interesting how that's happened.
There's this lovely thing you're pointing to about being a kind of celebrity to your dad, in your dad's eyes. And then also that he was taking these photographs in order to share them with the world, and you are his world.
Right at the top, there's a green camera, like right on the top of your screen. Like got the icons where the little, where your like battery life is and all that.
Yeah. Oh.
That's green camera.
Fixed.
Thank you,
Wow.
Nikki Online, whatever her name was.
Yeah, send her a tip. That was really great.
I had to watch a video.
Okay.
It's like there's a lesson here in like not taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture. You just like in the app and you're like, "Arr," and there's the green
Yes,
camera sitting there.
totally.
Yeah.
Well, that
Anyway.
actually is like the perfect metaphor, isn't it? About looking at ancestry.
Mm. That
It's
is a
like
way
we're
of looking at it.
inside of this thing. We
Mhm.
are the thing. Like we can't really see the
No,
thing.
no, yeah, yeah, we are. We're in it.
But isn't that what you're doing? I'm picturing you now with these images projected up on the wall.
Yeah, loads. So like I'm in it, but I'm also the end of it right now, which is kind of weird because I'm not having kids.
Mm.
So I am in it, but it's not like, yeah, it's like you're a river flowing along and you're at the front of the river and they're all behind you. You know what I mean? So you're in the river, you are the river, but you're also the end of the river,
Mm.
unless you've got kids. But even I think if you've got kids, your life that you're living is still the front of the river. Maybe your kids go a little bit further in front of you, but yeah, I don't know. So
Mm.
I don't know if in it, it's not like I'm lost in it. It's like I'm the end of a stream.
What's it like to be the end of the stream?
Um, it's interesting. In terms of not having kids, that's a big one. That feels like you're more like a dam than a stream because you've stopped something flowing, and it's strange, um, and doesn't feel great. But at the same time, it's the choices that I've made and also the situations that I've been presented in life, really, more than actively not having kids. It's more like it's just happened. And also, I haven't actively tried. Like, I mean, you know what it's like to try and have kids. It's like you really have to try sometimes. And so, but it does feel odd in a way. Um, but when I look back at the tree, the family tree, there's definitely lots of people who also didn't have kids or people who died too young. There's still ancestry, there's still an inheritance of some kind that goes beyond pure blood ancestry. It's interesting.
Mm.
Um, it's almost like little eddies form in the river and then you know, they join up somehow. I don't know how, but even just through deeds and actions and actually definitely through deeds and actions. Um, so it doesn't have to be through the DNA necessarily. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like my niece at the moment is my closest blood, the flow of the river from all the ancestors. My niece is the one at the moment who's continuing that. And my effect in her life is not immediate, but it's very there. So I
Mhm.
know that I'm having like an effect on her. Like she'll think back and like, oh yeah, Uncle Matthew, he was this guy who did this and this thing. And like if she ever looked through these slides and saw pictures of me and my brother, then she'd know that there was this presence in the stream, even though he didn't continue the stream in that way.
Yeah.
We've gone very deep very quickly.
Well, that's not surprising.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, you're also having an effect backwards,
Hmm.
right? I mean, there's the forward flow of the river to future
Yeah.
generations, and
Hmm.
also what happens when we turn back, and you're certainly
Yeah.
doing that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I have an instinctive feeling that something's happening on that realm, but I can't. My rational brain can't measure it or accurately use the scientific brain and prove that something's going on back there. But there is a sort of a gut feel that there's this magic that could happen. And I know if you start to throw around words like quantum physics and time travel and time and space being, you could fudge the science so that it feels like it's real, but I'm not going to even try and do that. I just going to talk about like what I feel in a way. And
Yeah. Tell me more about the gut feeling.
it does feel like, so some of the work that I've been doing, I think you know some of this, but I'll repeat it, is around like traditional Zulu ancestry work that happens here in South Africa and the Sangoma that I've been working with. And she gave me this technique, and it's a very simple technique to connect the ancestors. It's an ancient technique that's been around for who knows how long, actually. And all it involves is like a candle and herbs called mpepo, which is like wild sage that you burn, and about talking to the ancestors and invoking them, but using words like saying out loud. You just say, I call on the ancestors on my mother's side, and then I say the grandparents, the great grandparents, the great great grandparents, all those who like fought the good fight, all those of light, all those who are good and who want the best for me. And then you kind of evoke them. And you do that for the grandfathers, the grandmothers, and then all those who were born but died too young. And then you do it on the other side, grandfathers, grandmothers, all those, and then you kind of like activate them. I mean, I don't know. You kind of call them in. And, you can also say things about the ancestors of the ocean, the ancestors of the mountain, the ancestors of the river. This is something that I think in the Zulu culture, living in nature, it's a thing. It's just kind of part of it. And then you like, light your candle, you've already lit your candle, and then you put a glass of water out for them if you want. You can also feed them. There's a whole other ritual that's great where you put out different candles and feast, and you put out food for them overnight. Anyway, but yeah, so I've been doing some of that, and my neighbor complained about the paper. Yeah, last time I did this, and she said she thought the apartments were burning down, and she was like, "It smells terrible," and I can't. So anyway, that's another story. But yeah, it's it's interesting because it kind of activates the my connection to the ancestors in a way that I'm just thinking about them and bringing them to life in some ways, even if I don't know who they are, because you're talking to way back ancestors. This is not just like father, grandfather, great grandfather, who I have a clear image of.
Mm.
But then I don't know, just things. It does seem that when you're in the space of paying attention, that things start to happen. Like you start to notice things happening. Like I bought my house pretty quickly after I asked my ancestors for like immediately. It was very quick. And
And
you
you
can ask
asked
them for things.
them for
Well,
that, or you were
well, I
just
asked
calling
them
them in?
for guidance and direction and things. But you do it actually the way they do it here is you have like a silver coin and you speak into the coin and then you offer it to them. You actually say whatever you want into the coin and then put it down. If you're doing it by the ocean, you throw the coin in the ocean. But if you're doing it at home, you just like put the coin down in a spot, and then you take those coins and spend them only on buying more of the candles or
Mm.
paper that you need for the ritual. So you're kind of giving it to them in a way. But I've done something like that around home, maybe in just future. Um, that was interesting, but that's, I mean, the causality is always weird for me in these kind of situations. But what is interesting is like other things started happening, like my dad's 8 millimeter film footage started pitching up in my life in a really strong way. Like the next thing I knew, it was in a box in my cupboard. It was staying in storage somewhere else, and then it ended up in my cupboard. And then I was looking through it, and then I was like, let me see what's on it. And then I was getting it transferred. And then the next thing I knew, I was watching my grandfather help me take my first steps, like like film footage of that. Like I had no idea
Wow.
that he was there in that moment, right? Obviously, but you see me like trying to balance and fall around, and he's there really proudly, like trying to help me take my first steps. And that was like, wow, this is my grandfather, like that I have a vague memory of. He didn't live in the same town as me when I grew up. But yeah, that was amazing. And then just seeing my other images of my father and my mother and seeing everything they've done for me and did for me, and then, of course, images of myself filmed from their perspective, seeing how much I meant to them, like this thing in their life that they've got this camera trained upon. My dad he worked in a film, like he had a camera shop at some point. So he had all this camera gear that he was always trying. So there's kind of a lot of footage of us. And then the slides appeared as well, like all of these, like about 1,000 slides. I mean, so many. Got some of them here. Actually, I mean, I don't know. I categorized, but it's just, you probably can't see it, but I can't make sport. And I'll just go, and I'm reading like boxes and boxes of slides. There's some
Mm.
boxes in it, like sorted out, started to sort them out. But they were just in a total mess, and they were just sitting there in a box, unseen, totally unseen. You know what I mean? Like no one would ever look at them. Um, because there were just so many. I mean, literally 1,000, I think. And then I wanted to figure out what to do with them, and I bought a slide projector, and then I just started projecting them on the wall and just like lining them up and going through them all one by one, like projecting them on the wall. And then, of course, it was again, like they were coming alive. Like what was really amazing was seeing, the thing that I was really surprised by was, sure, the pictures of the people are interesting, and the moments of the people. But then there were also these really weird moments, like my mom with her hand out of her window and the seagull trying to eat crumbs from her hand. And my dad's trying to take this picture, like he wants a picture of the seagull eating out of my mom's hand. So there's like about 10 pictures that are not working at all. The seagull's like blurry, mom's hand's blurry, the seagull's flying away. Like this moment just that they had together, right? That I didn't know about, but now that came alive. Like that being in that moment in my dad's position was super amazing. And then even like bizarre abstract photographs, like of curtains. So there's a curtain moment and he's sitting there and he's like, oh, I like that pattern. I'm going to take a picture of it, gets the camera out, exposes, sits in the moment, takes the picture. And then that feeling um, gets sort of transmuted here while looking at the slides. That was really interesting. Like just so, and then like their trip to Europe and like the people they met in Europe, and then this little van that they bought when they drove around Europe, like my mom sleeping in the van, like just so much stuff that I had known of. Like I knew that they went to Europe, but now I can see this like red van that they had with the door open, and like just where it was parked and the Eiffel Tower, the view, and it's like parked skew, and they took a picture of it with the Eiffel Tower in the background and the van's like skew. And I'm thinking like he must have been rushing and he parked the van skew. And then there's like pictures of them at the Versailles, the Palace of Versailles, and like my mom's cross and my dad's cross. Like maybe they were arguing at some point. They don't look happy in those moments. Um, yeah, there's also that as well. It's like there's some photographs of like my mom not looking happy, and that's also interesting to see. It's not all these posed moments. There's also like the realness of it all. So yeah, that was definitely ancestors coming alive through all this work. And then, I mean, I could keep talking because there's more that started happening. Like, um, I started looking on ancestry.com, I think it was, or was it? No, it was the other one there's a website I think that you also use. What is it?
The the um
The
the
Mormon
Mormon
one.
site.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I forget what it's called right now, but
Living.
anyway,
Yeah. I don't know.
something. And I started like going on that, And as soon as I connected to on that side, connected to like, interestingly enough, in my family, there's this like the Lebanese line is really strong. It feels strong, but that line only goes back in terms of records as far as my great great grandfather. But my father's mother and my mother's father, those lines go way back in that, in like what I'm talking like to the year 700 or something. You know, they go far back. And seeing that was quite something. That was just like, and there's so many records. It's just it goes all the way back. But then I also started finding like death certificates and marriage certificates on that site that people in South Africa they must have scanned them in through the years. And like my um, uncle Marcellus, who died of leukemia when he was young, like 7 or something. He was super young. Like when I was doing the ancestry work, he sort of came up as a thing. And then just seeing his death certificate, which I didn't even know we had, I didn't even know we have this thing, was quite amazing. All the details and who his father was, and, you know, that was amazing. Seeing those documents was also like brought them to life and in a way that was quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm struck by that. There's a lot of those types of records on those platforms, marriage and death, and that's all,
Yeah.
basically all there is when you go back a certain length of
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
and it can feel a little bit hollow, like there's not a story here, there's just these,
Hmm.
marriage and moving and
Yeah. Yeah.
death and birth, and but in this case, that particular document became this
Yeah.
living symbol that could connect you back to a
Absolutely.
life that you
Yeah.
were aware of.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think it's interesting that like you say, these documents seem a bit cold. It's like, okay, birth, death, marriage. That's pretty much it. But that's almost all you need to trace back. It's quite amazing. And then you like got this like incredible thing. It's like here is proof that this person died and was, born here. And suddenly you can link this incredible thing back to the past. But I also
Mhm.
went to my great grandfather's grave. This is the other thing that happened. It's in amongst all of this time. It's only been a couple of months, really. I feel like this has been going on for what, 6 months at the most. um, I went to my great grandfather's grave, which I'd been to many, many years ago, and that was quite cool to go find his grave. And my great grandmother's there, Victoria, as well. She's also amazing, very interesting woman. And finding this grave in very much disrepair, like just weeds growing all over it, and thorns, lots of thorns, and dirt, and bird poo all over the marble. And there was the statue of Jesus, which was stolen because it was a big marble statue that there used to be, and this was taken. I mean, obviously, if you leave a unattended gravesite with an unsecured big marble statue of Jesus, it's going, and it went. But that whole experience of going there was also just quite amazing, and that, yeah, connecting and speaking to him was was good. Is still good. Yeah.
I'm aware of this connection in the abstract, like the visiting of the grave site or the finding of the death certificate. And then this other track where, like, I'm seeing you staring at the wall with these pictures
Hmm.
projected up, and this very personal, tangible, this group of artifacts that have been
Hmm.
given that are left for you that also, like you're saying, you could see yourself in them. So you're seeing the way they saw you, and then you are seeing them back through
Hmm.
that lens as you uncover these slides and take
Hmm.
time with them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know where I'm going with that, but I guess just pointing to the abstract connection and then to
Well,
this.
I think what's interesting is that gonna sound really weird, but like seeing myself through their eyes, I felt quite loved. And that does change something in the way that you feel about yourself. You know, that was really nice. you're like, wow, my dad really did a fucking photo shoot. I was like a star in his life. You know what I mean? I was like a celebrity. It did make me wonder about my whole choice of going to become an actor and wanting to be on screen. And maybe I was like remembering of this childhood with this dad with a camera, just constantly taking pictures of me, this like attention of the dad, and then like searching for that in life in other ways, like is really interesting. Um, but yeah, the other thing I forgot to say was that there were a lot of people in these photos that I didn't know, like a lot. Like I've got a whole, I don't know how many of these I have, but I've just says people, and it's like not the parents, not the kids, not people that I vaguely remember, but just people. And I then took the slides on this last weekend to my two uncles, who live quite like about an hour away. I hardly ever see them. Like I never see them, and they're probably in their 70s now, but old 70s. They feel like 77. Like they yeah, they're definitely not well, but they're not long for this world, I don't think. But I then took the slide projector there and showed them these people to say like, who are these people? And it was really interesting for them to then activate their memories and and they were like, some of them they knew, some of them they couldn't knew, some of them they'd forgotten, and then halfway through they're like, oh, it's that person. Oh, I remember now. And it was like that was also very cool to kind of see it happen in this moment with them. Yeah. And they didn't know everyone. And that was also interesting because there's some people that my parents met like on their European travels. And you can see that the people meant something to them, because there's photographs of them, like more than one. And I'm like, yeah, these people are lost to me now. I mean, they're not direct ancestors, but they were affecting, you know. Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm seeing
Yeah.
your role, you were reflecting on being like at the front of the river or the dam, and your role as this connector and
Hmm.
someone in the lineage who's carrying this on, looking deeply, bringing the slides over to other family members. Like that
Hmm.
role is quite essential. I know you as a documentarian, and I'm
Yeah.
curious
Yeah.
like, what it is that you feel like you're creating um, that will
Mm.
be kind of the artifacts that your niece will pick
Hmm.
up and that the future generations will pick up. What will they see,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
how do you relate to what you're leaving behind?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think what I'm realizing is my dad was actually a documentarian, totally, like 100%. I didn't know this at all. Like I would never have called him that. But there's so much footage. Like seriously, this is like, I was born in 73, so this is a long time ago. It's like 50 odd years ago. A lot of people don't have any footage of them that age. And there's so many slides and so many things. I'm realizing that I'm kind of like, I know that he's very happy that I'm doing this work, like that I mean, he might be upset that I threw away a lot of his random pictures of nature and birds, but that's okay. Because I had to clear out a lot of things. But I think like it's just, particularly with a photograph, you take a photograph and then you're taking it for a reason when you're taking it. And then if it's never seen, it's just like lost. So I think for me to see these pictures again really connects with him in a way because it feels like I'm sharing a moment with him that he wanted to share with the world. He had no idea that I would be sitting here in Musenberg, right now in this apartment doing this, but he did take it for a reason. So yeah, it's really interesting that I'm doing that. And I think categorizing it, like the reason I'm categorizing it is, obviously the next step is to scan them all in. It's just like, got to get a scanner and do that. That's another phase. Luckily, I don't have a job at the moment, so this is good. It takes up some time. Um,
Mhm.
but it's, I got to scan them in and then have them digitally so that I can send them to people. And then that eventually future generations, like my niece, if she has kids one day or whatever, and the river continues, then there'll be people to, it'll be easily accessed. There is a slide. thought that I've been having about how many photos we take nowadays with our cameras and how much there is online, and how it becomes almost a flood of stuff that you can't
Mhm.
even, like, I don't know, would future generations look at our flood of images the way we look at these? I don't know. It's an interesting
Yeah,
one. So,
because 'cause you've got what did you say, 1,000? And we
mhm.
have, like, how many? I don't know, 100,000 if you look at
Yeah,
some people's
exactly. Exactly.
channels and
Yeah.
everything from their
Yeah.
phone, and
Mhm.
it's an
Exactly.
overwhelming amount of data. Yeah,
I'm trying to
and
find the something for you while you talk.
also I wanna yeah, find something, and I just wanna say this out loud as a sort of note to myself, that there's this lovely thing you're pointing to about being a kind of celebrity to your dad in your
Mhm.
dad's
Mhm.
eyes, and then also that he was taking these photographs in order to share them with the world, and you are his world, and you're the one
Oh.
who's now watching them. So
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
is fulfilling, and it's like, who do we do this for?
Uh,
We do this
yeah,
for the
exactly.
ones that we love, and this idea
That's
of
true.
giving something to the world can feel massive,
Mhm.
but really to
Yeah.
share it with the few that it's meaningful to
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so beautiful.
And we might not even know when we're taking them what's gonna happen to them, but we kind of might know, instinctively almost, if you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, we might know, I'm just getting this. This is I wanna show you my first steps because I can share my screen, I realize, and then actually show it to you. I
Yeah,
know if it's a
great.
podcast, you can't see it, but we can, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can send it to me, or we'll do something with it.
Well, it is recording right now, so
Mm.
it'll probably record this to you right now.
Yeah.
But would you wanna see?
Yeah, yeah, of course, please.
Okay, cool. Let's see. It'll just give you an idea of the kind of stuff that I'm looking at. Okay, so,
My gosh.
that's me taking my first steps. And then, uh, okay, also eating food. Not really interested in that.
Yeah,
And then my
not
dad filmed
interested.
lots of birds as well. He was like obsessed with birds. So it cuts between birds and me, which is kind of interesting as well. I don't know, these flighty things that move around and leave and come and go. And but then yeah, that's my grandfather and me.
Mhm.
This is in a place called, like, I know this place really well. I know exactly where we are. There's a dog, obviously. There, well, see, I'm trying to look how dark
Yep.
my his hands are because he's Lebanese. Well, he was first generation Lebanese. So yeah, there's my grandfather Romeo teaching me how to walk. I mean, literally my ancestors like supporting
Mhm.
me. Yeah, and
Literally,
then
your
my dad would
ancestors
capture
support.
waves a lot. You know, I don't know why he would do. He was
So
obsessed with
he
waves. I think he.
combined this together,
I think this
or
is just
you
the way
did?
it. No, this cut is the way it just was on the film because he would film this and he would film that and then he would film this. So he would film the ocean, film the birds, film me, and so it was just the way it was on the camera. I think when the film was developed. Yeah, and there I am again. But it is crazy to have one's first steps. I'm just like, I can't quite get it right.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then he would film the birds again.
Interesting, yeah. It is,
Yeah,
it's a very interesting style of art,
yeah,
the way that
and that was
that
me
it's
and
done.
grandfather in the car, which I really like as well. Yeah. Mm. Anyway, there was a lot of that.
Do
Yeah.
you have the one where the bird is eating out of the hand?
I don't have that. No, that's slides, which I don't think I took a picture of the slides, but yeah, I can get that.
Okay, yeah.
I think I know where it is. It's under abstract in the abstract section, of which this is the other interesting thing that I realized is like, you know, me as a filmmaker, amongst other things, but like a documentary filmmaker who has a particular style. the sort of Kalilesque framing of things that people spoke about in
Neat.
Fairfield. And then going through all of these things, I was like, there's so many weird abstract shots. And I was like, I mean, really, now, but like a bunch of kids, but then also a bunch of abstract shots. And so my dad had already, his way of seeing the world through the camera was kind of becoming clear for me. And it was really nice to see that the abstract way he filmed things. And I was like, wow, that's like the way I do things. Oh, interesting. I might still make
Right.
something out of the abstract stuff. I feel like
Yeah.
I don't know what I'll make with it all or if it'll either become anything, but I kept all the abstracts because they're so abstract. They could literally just be projected in an art, you know, gallery because they just are quite unique. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So mhm, there's this aspect of seeing yourself and knowing yourself through the
Mm-hmm.
process of looking at the artifacts that he left behind. But it's not
Mm-hmm.
just what they are, it's like how he made them and how he
Mm-hmm.
put them together that is a part of your inheritance and who you are.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and it's odd that it took me this long to really. It's just interesting that like it took 53 years. Well, I'm 52 now, but it's like these boxes of slides have been in storage for like my dad died over, let's say like 20 years ago now, I think, or just under. And these slides have always been around. They've just been there, just haven't looked at them. And I think it's kind of like it's interesting that I did this ancestor work first, right? And then a couple of months later, I'm looking at the slides. So in terms of the timing, it's just really interesting how that's happened. Um, but it's also interesting that they're always there. So people, if you have them, it's like gotta look at them. It's like doesn't take that much actually, but it also does take much. That's the funny thing is that it's easy to do, but I think to be right and ready to be ready, maybe. And it does. I mean, it's been a weird couple of weeks looking at these slides because things are being activated that are I can't even necessarily put into words. But I mean, look, the world is already crazy at the moment anyway. But besides that, I think doing this as well has been pretty activating in an interesting way. Yeah.
Uh,
And then, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. And
no,
I
no.
was going to go on a crazy sidetrack, but you go ahead.
Is it a sidetrack you want to go on?
I'll remember it.
I want to
The
ask you
sidetrack.
about the we can bullet point and go on your sidetrack and come back to these. I want to ask you about what it is that inspired this. What
Mhm.
made the shift to begin the ancestor work? If that was the beginning that opened all of this up, why
Hmm.
why now?
Well, it's a great question. I think, I have done some um, family constellation work in the past. And so I have had this connection in some ways. And then last year in like, I don't know, probably about, God, where are we now? October. So that's, well, yeah, maybe actually just under a year ago, I went on this like retreat thing where I went away for 7 days and it was great. And I was in a farm and this woman who does constellations did a lot of work with me. And towards the end of our time, I spoke to my grandfather. He was a tree. I mean, literally, she took me to a tree. I had to choose what thing. And we did a lot of other work, but the climax of it all was like the conversation with my great grandfather and then a conversation with my Afrikaans grandfather. I had to speak Afrikaans to for some reason. It just felt right. And I tried my best. I can speak it sort of, but not really well, but anyway. And I think like doing that must have activated something. And then when I saw that this Sangoma course was, and Sangoma is like the local healers, was happening, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I don't know why. I just really felt like I wanted to do it. I think I'm someone who has like I can easily access. Look, I'm gonna start this. I'm a writer and a creative writer, and so imagination for me is a very easy thing to access, very very easy. And so access into the realm of the supernatural or spiritual or metaphysical realm, which I think is very closely linked to imagination, is very kind of easy for me. And I've dismissed a lot in my life when people talk about this kind of stuff, like something that's maybe a bit out there and strange, um, even though I've experienced some things in my life that are quite unique. But um, I think that this Sangoma course came up and I was like, let me just be open to not knowing, you know? Let me be open to not knowing. And there's a word that's just escaping me now, but be open to intuition. Like, but it's not intuition. That's not exactly that word, but to the mysteries, I suppose. And so that's why I went on the course, and then it was quite interesting. There were a lot of moments that were just quite magical, and she is a very powerful woman who was running this um, workshop. Young, dynamic, very powerful person, a lot of self assurity, and yeah, I guess that's what started it was a kind of a being open to the mystery in a way, and then that led to all these things happening.
And what preceded the being open to the mystery?
Hmm. Well, probably it's stagnation, actually, to be honest. And I don't want to say trauma, but you know, living in Fairfield, I'm joking.
Difficulty,
No,
maybe. Yeah.
difficulty, struggle, you know, and even I want to say confusion or lack of clarity, and I still have this. This has not left me, but that probably, yeah, struggle of some kind led to being open to the mystery and then now into more exploration. And I seriously don't know what's next. I mean, I know I'm going to scan these. That's next. But I don't know what other ways the ancestors are going to pitch up. Uh, we will see. We will see. Yeah.
I want to make sure you still have your side train. And I have
Mm.
one more question. So either one, we can
Sure.
do yours first or
Okay. The side train is a super crazy side train, but it's kind of interesting. So a novelist that I really like is a novelist called Ian McEwan, and he's written many, many books. Like Atonement is they turned into a movie. People know that one, but I've read every single one of his books. I'm like a huge fan. And I was in the bookstore the other day, and I don't follow like literally like I don't know who's publishing when, but I was just walking around this bookstore and I was like, feels about time for a new Ian McEwan because he writes books every like 5 years. Takes him a long time, or maybe 3 or 5 years. He'll maybe every 3 years, depends. But I just felt like, feels like there's a new, just like this weird intuition. And then I looked and I was, oh, there is a new Ian McEwan. Oh, this is great. So then I bought it, and I thought to myself, like, oh, I'm not sure. He's another, you know, white old man writing books. Do I really want to read another white old man's book? I'm not sure. But I started reading, and what he's done is he's done something really interesting where he has this ability to slow down moments really well. Like he'll take one moment, like a man falling off a hot air balloon that escapes, or coming across two dogs, black dogs on a trail. And he takes these moments and weaves them into these big stories, all focused on the moment. Now, what he's done with this one, his new one, is there's a moment where a poet is about to give a poem at a dinner. But what he's done is something super interesting. It's written from the point of view of somebody who's 100 years in the future. So 2112 or something, looking back at researching, like with all these records and everything that we have at the moment, researching this moment in time, right? Which is quite amazing because that's literally what I've been doing in a way with my parents over 50, this sort of 50-year span. And then he's doing it in his novel, but it's a very clever literary device. I mean, I've never come across it before where it's he's writing the story, but it's as if he the writer has imagined himself being this archivist 100 years in the future, writing back in this moment in time now. Anyway, it's my brain is just like splitting while I'm reading it because it's literally never really come across anything like it. So so for me, I'm really enjoying it. He is a very particular writer, but I it just kind of there was another coincidence in terms of looking back and assessing and like he's literally in the book this archivists looking at WhatsApp messages. It's quite interesting the way he is because we started talking about this earlier about all the stuff we have now. There's so much. And in this book, one of the sort of conceits is that this person has access to everything. All the WhatsApps became public after 100 years. Everything becomes your life just becomes examinable. Um, and there's like, yeah. So anyway, that was my sidetrack. It's a total sidetrack, but
So
it's interesting.
what are you learning about that archiving and that looking back and like as you've been reading this book,
I
what
think
is
what
it?
I'm I think I'm it's more like I'm imagining people looking at my life now in the future. And I'm like, wow, they know so much stuff about me. But also, you know, maybe somebody would one day, who knows? I mean, it's possible. But yeah, it was just interesting the way in the book and I don't know, I've just started it. I'm literally on the fifth chapter or something, but it's just interesting the way it's also entered my life. And Ian McEwan is a really important writer to me. So it's interesting that he's also being it's not exactly the same thing, but yeah, that's the way this happens. It's just so mysterious.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that in. It's really
Mm.
kind of bending my mind a little bit and
It is a mind bender, I tell you. I'm even reading the voice of the novel is just so complicated. It's like, yeah, it's really interesting. And he's like avoiding so far too much world building of the future. So he's not really saying too much about not
mm,
sci-fi,
mhm,
at all. Definitely not sci-fi.
mm.
Anyway, yeah.
Well, my question, I guess, is about how mind bending all of this is. And I'm curious if you have encountered just through your life experience or through the particular ancestor work in South Africa that you've been doing, resources that have been an aid to you as you go into this work, because it is so shifting and reorienting and can get you feeling really off balance or finding a new center. I'm just curious if there's resources for you.
Well, not really, except the ancestors themselves being a resource. It just feels really, one feels very held and supported when one thinks about everything they've done for you, you know? And you're like, wow. It's like the fact that I can just have this lovely meal and sit here and it really is in some ways due to some of the sacrifices and choices people made way ahead of me. And so it feels in that way it feels supported. But there's another thing that happens, and it's again, it's one of these mystery things, is you just feel behind you this support. So
Mm,
if anything does get overwhelming, you can just call on the ancestors. I mean, the Sangoma woman would totally 100% be very happy that I'm saying this now, but she's just 100% like, she's like, no, it's fine. They've got it. She talks
mm,
about them like they're these, like they've got it. They'll have it sorted out. Don't worry about it. And it's a little bit like you know Christian saying it's in God's hands. It's in the hands of the ancestors. It's a similar thing, but it is a little trick that is very useful to make one feel supported. So yeah,
mm. It's in the hands of the ancestors.
mm, yeah. It's a huge amount of relief to know that, you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect place to stop.
Okay, great. I love it.
I could talk with you forever, but I have to edit this material,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I
I
know.
don't wanna.
I'm gonna start
And
my
there's a
recording.
lot in here. This has been amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Thank you, Catherine. That was
Um,
great. And also, I meant to say this
Thank
is
you.
actually something we can still record. I'm going to record on my side, but
Okay.
I wanted to say thank you for taking it seriously, what I'm doing, because for me, it's just this little thing that I'm doing on the side, but talking about it now in like a podcast environment gives it a weight and a seriousness, which I think it really does have. But it's not like, you know, I don't. It's not like, you know, it's great. I could say to someone today, like, yeah, I'm having a podcast about about these slides that I've been going through. You know, everyone thinks about, if I'm on a podcast, it's about like my work, about my book or something, but it's not. It's about this other stuff. But because you're doing this, it gives weight to it. So thank you for like letting me have that opportunity.